Do you have a cabinet card hiding in your collection of old family photographs? Or are you wondering, what is a cabinet card? Well, in this video, we're talking all about those family photos known as cabinet cards. Hey there, if we haven't met before, I am Lisa with Are You My Cousin? And this YouTube channel is designed to help you find your ancestors, grow that family tree, and not be overwhelmed in the process. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, you're in the right place. Today's video is sponsored by Related Faces. It's a new tool on the genealogy scene designed to help you identify the individuals in your old family photographs. Now, as many of you know, I am continuing on my mission of getting all of my old family photographs identified. So I'm excited by the appearance of Related Faces on the scene. They use their artificial intelligence or AI to help put names to those faces in that photograph. It's really quite easy to use. You simply upload a family photograph to Related Faces. Their intuitive system allows you to upload your family photos to the Related Faces database and add any details about those photographs that you might know. And if you don't know any details, well, that's okay too. Sit back and wait for the results as their proprietary technology compares the faces of your photograph with the faces, all the other photographs in their database, including the United States Library of Congress. Check it out for yourself with a free 14-day trial at relatedfaces.com. I'll have the link for you in the description below. Cabinet cards. You're probably wondering if you actually have a cabinet card or two in your collection. Maybe you already know that you have them. They are those older photographs that are mounted on kind of that thicker cardboard. Cabinet cards made an appearance on the scene in around 1860 and actually were used all the way up through the early 1900s. Now, let me show you a couple of the ones that I actually have. So we'll be taking a closer look at these a little bit later. But this would be one that I have. So you can see this is one, and you can see it's a little bit thicker. You can see how thick it is on the sides there. So it's that thicker cardboard as well. And then here's my other one too. So you can see, let's see if I can get that there. So you can see, again, if you turn it to the side, you can see it has that thicker cardboard mount there as well. Now, like I said, cabinet cards came on the scene around 1860, and they really reached their peak in popularity at about in the 1880s. But they did continue to be used all the way into the early 1900s. And because cabinet cards were used for so many years, we can study them and looking at their colors and the amount of decoration and embellishments on those cabinet cards to get approximate dates for when a particular photograph may have been taken. Now, before I turn the camera around and we walk you through some of the aspects and characteristics of cabinet cards and show you some more examples, be sure to hit that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner so that you stay in the know when new videos are posted here on the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. That way, you won't miss a thing. Now let's take a closer look at those cabinet cards. Okay, so let's take a look at cabinet cards, a few different ones that I have, and talk a little bit about some of the about what they might look like and what are some of the characteristics of a cabinet card. Now, the first thing you're going to notice when you have a cabinet card, if you're looking at one that you're not sure about, is it on a cardboard mount? So it's on those cardboard mounts. It's a little bit thicker than some of those CDVs that you might see. Later cabinet cards, so later cabinet cards that were like say around the 1880s coming forward, you're going to start to see a little more embellishment with that. So if you're seeing beveled edges, are the edges gold? Are they silver? A scallop border could indicate, say, a cabinet card that comes from, say, about 1886 to 1900. So again, the more elaborate, the more decoration to a cabinet card, that is going to indicate that it is a later cabinet card as opposed to one of the early ones. Now, the color of the cardboard mount is actually also going to give you some clues to dating that cabinet card. It's an important thing. So the darker colors, so those that might be brown, burgundy, the dark greens, the black, I've got some I can show you in just a moment, or related, those are going to be your later cabinet cards. So you're thinking more 1880s, 1890s. The earlier cabinet cards tended to be lighter in color. And also those early cabinet cards had no borders around them. So again, remember the fancier, the more decoration, even just a little extra, very simple border, that can indicate a little bit later than say an early cabinet card that had no borders as well. Embossed patterns. If you're seeing a cabinet card with some embossed patterns for that border, that's even later. That's going to be, 1894 up to 1900 or so. So again, it is going to be something that you can start to gauge that cabinet card and start to estimate some of those dates for when it might have been taken to narrow down who might be in that particular cabinet card for you. And lastly, you want to consider and look at that cabinet card closely for a photographer's mark. Now, this could be down at the bottom of one. It could be on the back. So remember, flip that cabinet card over and look at the back of that cabinet card for that photographer's mark. In general, the fancier, the more elaborate the design, just like that cabinet card, the later that date on that of that photograph that it was taken. So you definitely want to use those photographer marks as possibilities to see that. So let me walk you through a couple of my cabinet cards that I have in my collection. They're interesting. They're lots of fun, and we'll take a peek at them. So this first one up is this lovely little child. I actually do not know who this child is. This is one of the unidentified cabinet cards in my collection that I know that one day I will get identified. I do believe I know which family that this child is from. I believe this is a Haley family baby. And but you can note what you want to notice here is darker. So it's a brown. It's a darker brown. It's actually, look at this. It's got a double lined embossed kind of border. So that tells me it's a little bit later. That's pretty consistent. My clues for this particular family and this particular child from the collection that it was among, so the other photographs that it was close to when I received this, would make me think that this was probably taken in the 1890s, early 1890s, perhaps maybe late 1880s. And so that's actually pretty consistent with that. Now, so when I flip this card over, because we want to flip these cards over, remember, it says, this was made at the age of 1 year and 8 days. And then it gives me a date right here, November 19th, 1909. So that tells me that this child is a year old and that the child's birthday was in November of 1908. That is a fabulous clue and will send me off as I'm continue to build out my family tree, hoping to find a child who was born in 1908 so that I can identify this child. So again, while I didn't have a photographer's mark, I got this wonderful clue here that was written on the back. Here's another cabinet card. Now you can see this one here is definitely one of the later ones. How do I know that? It's very dark here. It's got a border. It's particularly that dark color, but I also actually know who's in this particular one. So we are able to date this particular child, and this would have also been taken probably about the same time as the other one, a little bit later, perhaps in the, I would say, early 1900s for this particular photograph. So this is a really good one for us to look at. But when I flipped it over, unfortunately, so I do get where somebody has labeled it for me. So it says Mrs. S.B. Carr and wife. It gives me a location. So I know they're in Clarkton, Virginia. And it even gives me their address. That's pretty cool. But somebody has written on here in ink that this is their son, Lawrence, is in the picture as well. Yes, that is Lawrence. Unfortunately, guys, do not label your cabinet cards in ink at all. There are better ways to do that. Just a graphite pencil an artist pencil can be very helpful, but there are definitely specific photo-safe labeling pens and utensils that are out there. We can talk about that in another video at some point if you'd like. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in learning more about. We can certainly do that. But anyway, make sure you're not labeling that way. Now, I've got one more for you that I can't wait to show you. So this is actually one that I wanted to show you. Again, a child. And when I flipped it over, you can see it's got that dark, dark color. So again, one of the later ones. Look at that beautiful, beautiful photographer's mark, guys. It's elaborate. It's not as elaborate as some I've seen. I've seen some that are even more so, but it's this beautiful, elaborate photographer's mark. It tells me that this photograph was taken in Danville, Virginia. It gives me the photographer's name. So I can actually research that photographer and then find out when they did business. When were they in Danville, Virginia? I can use census records. I can use city directories, all of that to help identify and get even a closer date for this particular cabinet card. It is one of the darker ones you can see. There's not a lot of embellishment on it other than the photographer's mark. So it's got a little bit of a rounded corner as opposed to a square corner. So that tells me a little bit about it as well. So it's going to be one that I need to work on a little bit more. The photographer's mark is probably the biggest clue here to get this one identified. So I wanted to show you these and just show you some of the differences that we see with them when it comes to learning about what we have in the collection and then being able to identify it. I've got some other videos that I will link in the description below so that you can learn more about how to do step-by-step a photo identification for those individuals as well. So that'll be in the description below. Want to learn more about old family photographs and how to identify the individuals in them? Be sure and watch the video on your screen now.